All right. So here are my budgets. Just so you guys are aware of how I get my numbers when it comes to what I put aside for saving and things like that. So I did the exact same thing that you guys have done over this course. I've taken my gross income, I figured out my tax, and then I figured out how much money I'm actually working with each year. The other thing that I've deducted from my income is KiwiSaver, which I'll talk about today, and my union fees, because both of those do come out of my paycheck. And so this here's my final income and my fortnightly paycheck. So that is just kind of the same things that you guys have done as well. The other thing that I've done, which you guys have done on yours as well, is I have listed out all my expenses. I've color-coded things in yellow and in green. So yellow is kind of stuff that's weekly, monthly, and green is stuff that's annual. I want to make sure with my annual expenses that I have enough in my bank account to pay for those things. So that's how I've outlined that budget. I've also, like I said in other lessons, talked about what I need for my emergency fund, because I have chosen not to get insurance for a lot of my things. I have a total amount, but it's very unlikely all those things are going to go to Custard at the same time, so I figured a safe amount of money to have ready, liquid to go is about $5,000. So again, it's what you guys want to take as your risk. Some of you guys may be more risk adverse and you'd rather have the insurance. I would rather have the money so that way I can invest it, and if I do need the money, it's there. I did also put out other annual expenses. We haven't had a chance to talk about them, but do keep in mind that if you do have a car, you have to pay for the WOF, you have to pay for the registration, and things like that. So I have factored all that into my expenses. And then what I have broken down is I like to organize things by yearly, monthly, and weekly, just so that way I know what various monies I'm playing with, because you do think about things in different contexts. So I tend to think weekly because I think about my fortnightly checks coming in. So I have a total amount of money that I know I need to put into my flat account, which is the shared account that my partner and I have, and that usually covers most of our living expenses, such as our rent. I have money that goes into my debit account, so that way I have money available for things like groceries and fuel. I have money that I put aside into another bank account that is for my monthly and annual fees, so that way I can just put it onto my credit card and then pay my credit card bill off. And so I have a total amount of outgoing money each week from that budget. So it's not, it's a lot of money that goes out. What I've then done with that information is I have taken my fortnightly, that's fortnightly outgoings, not weekly. It does make a difference because I've doubled everything. All right, so what I've done here is I have taken my value for my fortnightly paycheck and I have subtracted away all my outgoing money. And with that, I have leftover money. So I have to think about what am I doing with that leftover money. It's really important to budget for your quote-unquote fun money, which is your non-essential expenses. So I was talking to my mom about that, and I was like, do I need to budget that? And she goes, yes, you absolutely need to do that. So that way you know how much money you have left over and you don't accidentally overspend. If we do a Google, how much should I save each week? You will find that Google gives you a very generic answer that says about 20% of your income should go towards your savings, 50% should go towards your necessities, and 30% to your non-discretionary items, aka your non-essentials, your fun money. When I talked to my mom about this ratio, it's not a bad ratio. It is a good one, but it is not aggressive enough, is what she told me. She said, if you are trying to save for a house, if you want to make sure you're mortgage-free by 40, you need to be a lot more aggressive with your saving. So basically, any money that you don't need should be going into some sort of saving system. So what I actually have as my leftover money is about $1,000. And if we're looking at it as a percentage from my fortnightly paycheck. Let me times it by 100. So about actually 40% of my income I am putting into saving. And that's why it's really important to do your budgets. Because if you just think, oh, I need to save 20%, I'm just going to, do that from my income, it may not be aggressive enough, and actually you might be able to save more. So it's really important to do that budget first off to see, actually, do I have more money available so I can save more of it? So I've been saving as much as I can from anything I don't need. When it comes to my savings, I like to divide it up into different investment funds, and that's what I'm going to talk about next. I'm actually going to show you guys my bank account because I think it's useful to see. And also, I have been paid this week, and I haven't moved my money around. So I'll show you what I do automatically with each of my paychecks. Okay? Huh? What's my banking password? I'm not going to show you. All right, going to pause that recording. All right, we ready? All right, I want to talk about credit just to make sure you guys understand the risk with it. All right, shh. Listening up. All right, I have chosen finance now as the example because it's a good sliding scale. So, shh, listen up. Let's say I want to borrow $10,000 because I need a new car. With that, there are the first thing I should point out is $10,000 is the money that I am borrowing and planning to spend. I will pay that back to finance now because I don't have the $10,000 with me right now. And each week I pay them $117. Now, with that payment, I am actually going to pay finance now back $12,100 roughly. Excuse me. Stop talking. So what that means is that finance now makes about $2,000. Excuse me. Stop talking. Finance now is going to make about $2,000 off of me for that $5,000 loan. That's how they make money from these loans. There are different interest rates depending on your risk profile. So they look at things like your income, your credit score, and they decide, you know what, you're low risk, I'll charge a lower interest rate, or you're high risk, I need to make sure I have my returns, I'll charge a higher interest rate. So what that means is that the net amount that you pay is greater. Are we okay so far with that? All right. So let's say I have been given the lowest interest rate, and so this is what I have been, and I'm paying it over 6 months. So I don't have the $10,000 now, but I can get it in 6 months' time. If, however, I can't pay that back in 6 months, let's say I extend it out. Is that 6 months? No, that was 12 months. 12 months. Let's say I extend it out to 24 months, 2 years. Do you see how this number has increased? So the longer it takes me to pay back this loan, even though it's less per week, the net amount is more. So let's say I'm stretching this out to 16 months. I'm actually paying $4,400 to finance now. All right? So that's the thing you have to be mindful of when you're taking out loans and how long it takes you to pay back. Yes, per week it'd be lower, but your net amount that you have to pay for that $10,000 is now higher. What's important to do if you do need to take out a loan is to shop around. So different companies offer different interest rates. You can also take out loans from the bank, and banks could have nicer interest rates. The other thing that's like a real motivation factor is getting a mortgage and getting a house because you can borrow against the house, and that usually has a lower interest rate as well. So these are things you got to think about if you do need to borrow money. It's not a bad thing to borrow money, and you probably at some point in your life need to borrow money. You probably will need to borrow money when you go to university. You will also probably need to borrow money to buy your first house. And then you might need to borrow money for a car and various other things. But it's really beneficial if you plan to save properly. Like I have my little rainy day fund, so that way I don't have to take out these loans when I want to go to the States. So my trip to the States is $4,000. It's not $4,800 because I've taken out a loan. Okay? What else did I want to add about it? The good thing about university loans is the first year of uni is free. I think they still have that policy. So be very mindful about studying when you're ready. Don't just study for the sake of studying. The other thing about university loans is that they are interest-free. So what does interest-free mean? Fletcher? You just pay the amount back. Interest-free means 0% interest. So there's none of this extra, like 20% on top of whatever you paid. So if I had a loan for a car versus I had a loan for my university, which one should I pay off first? The car loan or the university loan? The university loan, let's say it's $50,000, but interest-free, and the car loan is $10,000, but at 24% interest. Which one should I pay? The car loan. Because there's no rush to pay off an interest-free loan. I can drag it out longer. Because I can pay the minimum amount to make sure I then have more money. And in fact, if I don't pay the maximum amount to my student loan, yes, I still have a loan, but I can then use that additional money to invest in my investment funds and use that to make more money. So you have to think about how and where you want your money to be. Some people really don't like carrying around debt, and so they just want to clear it as quickly as possible. Some people are happy to hold on to the debt if it means they can invest their money. All right? So keep that in mind when you're borrowing things. Also keep in mind things like Afterpay. I know that's a really popular thing where they're like, buy now, pay later. Potentially dangerous. Especially if you tie it to a credit card, because it automatically pays through on the credit card, and then the credit card itself has the interest rate. Also be mindful with a lot of the buy now, pay later, you have late fees. So if you don't pay the amount each week, they will charge you like $10, $40, $60 a week. The other thing to watch out for is that they can lock the card if you don't make your payments. So just be mindful of those sort of things. All right, we got about 10 minutes left, so I would greatly appreciate with that time if you guys could do the feedback form, and there's also, like I said, that risk profile questionnaire that you can do, just so you have that last bit of financial information. It is on Google Classroom, under lesson number 6, Futures in Finance Survey. Yeah, I would love your feedback. I know it's been kind of a rushed lesson. Are there any final questions about future finance stuff? Because it's our last lesson together. No? Are we feeling a bit more confident about money now? Good. I see the head shaking. All right. All right. Finish the last things.